Okay, just belatedly, for the latter part of the chapter, just take a moment to remind us of our context here. This is the second of the three sections of the chapter, these first two of which are prophecies about the leader, the Nagid, and then the Melech, the king of Tyre. And we were seeing that king being described as perfect, blameless, infinitely wise, etc., in the context of two literary allusions, the Garden of Eden with its cherubs at the door, its infinitely extraordinary human creation, the gold that it is at the heads of one of the rivers that goes out of the Garden of Eden. That's sort of one dimension, and then we have the cherubs who are in the Holy of Holies on the mountain of God. And also all the different precious metals in the high priest's breastplate and the various associations and overlaps that come with that. That's just our context as a recording is jumping in a little bit late, and we'll come to Carl's comments and Lance's comments, and then see the last quarter of the chapter or so. Go ahead, Carl.
Okay, two short comments. And what you said, just further reinforcing what you said, it refers to the king as living on a Har HaKodesh, on the holy mountain. Okay.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and you could also, I think, see this. What he's really doing is criticizing the Kohanim in Jerusalem.
Mm, interesting. Right. If we poured it over, if they're used as a, example of comparison to the king of Tyre, but we can also go in the other direction and apply that sort of critique, right? And of course, that's, that overreach of power, Adam does it, and there were certainly times when the priests did it, and there were lots of heated debates over history about that. Absolutely. Lance?
I'm thinking about, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm thinking about a book by Rabbi Harold Kushner
Hmm.
entitled When Bad Things Happen to Good People.
Uh-huh.
It seems to me that that's the underlying question here. And the answer seems to be that good people are good until they sin and are bad.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're bad, God punishes them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the points that Rabbi Kushner makes is to focus on how we respond to God's treating us badly if we
Yes. Yes.
but from a literary point of view, as a professor of English, I would suggest that it's a question of plot. Adam,
Mm-hmm.
there's a turning point in Genesis when Adam and Eve sin, and there's a turning point in the temple when the Kohanim sin, and there's a turning point here when the king of Tyre sins.
Yes.
Pure plot,
Yeah.
pure fiction.
Yeah. I hear you.
That's just a different take.
Yep. Okay, Graham, go ahead.
Well, I got this poem. You want to hear it?
Of course we do.
Okay, it got kind of long. But anyway, best be aware of the perils of pride, the weakness of pride rich robes cannot hide. Our struggles are not about flesh, blood, and land, but the forces of evil against which we stand. The beauty you see all around you and me is one emanation from God's holy key. God is the sovereign. Make no mistake. When homage is, oops, I'm reading it. Oh, let me come back. Something just happened. Can you still hear? Oh,
We hear you.
God is the sovereign. Make no mistake. When homage is due, give more than you take.
Mm.
For he is the God in the heart of the seas, the God of the wind that moves in the trees. God is the source of your wisdom and grace and your beautiful face, your beautiful mind and your beautiful face. God holds out hope for our beautiful nation to rebuild its virtue and kind reputation. The promise of Genesis, world of creation, the promise we find in each spring restoration. We have but to listen in deep contemplation, then do what is right without fear or temptation. Trust in God's word, not just what you've heard. The sting of the thorn, the stampede of the herd will kill us with pride, for pride is absurd. Lean to the Lord and forswear the sword. Daven shalom in one mighty accord.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful. Thank you, Graham. Thank you. And please do paste it in the chat so we can share it out.
Okay.
Cool. All right, let's come to the last part of the. Yes, Estelle, before we move to the last part of the chapter.
Graham says in his poem exactly what the whole chapter says. We don't need the whole chapter. We need all Graham's poems.
Yeah, you could print a Ezekiel through the lens of Graham's poetry. Yeah, totally.
Well,
Graham.
make much out of it. Yeah. I just enjoy it. Thanks.
Absolutely, we do. Thank you. Okay, down to the last part. Yeah, so we were saying blameless in your ways until the wrongdoing happens, and then you sinned, and so you're struck down from the mountain of God. Verse 17, you grew haughty because of your beauty. I cast you to the ground, etc. So we have, very much this one-to-one correspondence between your wrongdoing and your punishment. We also have this reference to Avnei Eish, stones of fire, also uniquely appearing in this chapter. No stones of fire anywhere else in the Tanach that I could find. So the heart of God and stones of fire are both unique semantic objects in Ezekiel 28 across the Tanakh, again, to the best of my concordance search. And now we come to verse 20, and we shift our gaze just a little bit northward from Tyre to Sidon. The word of the Lord came to me, Ben Adam, O mortal, sim panecha, as often God directs Ezekiel and other prophecies, turn your face, set your face, and as God has sometimes said, God will set God's face, but here it's Ezekiel, set your face to Sidon, prophecy against her, and say, okay, this one of the three, this one is certainly one which seems least necessary to have been delivered to anyone, meaning Hinave Aleha is prophecy about her, right? So that there's no expectation that this message makes it to Sidon. With the ones with Tyre, we can argue that the framing makes it seem much more that there was some expectation that the message be delivered to the objects of the prophecy, but this one really not. And here's what you say in your prophecy. So says the Lord, I'm going to deal with you at Sidon. I will gain glory in your midst. Here the theme is knowing that God is God. That's what we're going to see a number of times, and God's glory and God's honor and dignity. And we go much more, drawing back on Arnie's comments, go more to an Egypt theme. If we've got, Genesis as kind of one pole of the Torah, and in a sense we have the tabernacle as the kind of end of the Torah. That's the wilderness wanderings, before we get to the land of Canaan. If those are kind of the two bookends of the Torah, Genesis and creation, and then a tabernacle which journeys in the wilderness until we get to the land. The middle is sort of Exodus and our departing from Exodus. And if we have, obviously receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai is on that list of big moments. And moments of encountering and knowing God, but Adam knows God as the intimate first creation. The Jewish people, the Israelites, know God through their encounters in the tabernacle, and in the middle, the Exodus from Egypt, and we could say the giving of the Torah are our national beginning of our relationship with God. And so, knowing God, which was repeated over and over in the plagues and story of the Exodus, features significantly here. So that's kind of the framework that we're using for relating to Sidon. You will know that I am God when I carry out my punishments against you, and those punishments are dever and dam, pestilence and blood, of course, parallel to 2 of the 10 plagues. And the experience of these plagues is going to be like the experience, of and the dam is not water turning into blood, it's bloodshed, right? So pestilence and bloodshed. And again, end of verse 23, everyone will know that I am the Lord. It's literally in basically almost every verse in the end of the chapter. Verse 24, the one that Arnie pointed to, no longer being afflicted with these thorns in our sides from our neighbors. And they shall know that I am the Lord. Is the they the neighbors? Is the they the house of Israel? It's probably the house of Israel, but in a sense, it is ambiguous enough to also be able to refer to the neighbors. And then in verse 25, we get this beautiful prophecy when God has gathered us in, Bekabtsi et Beit Yisrael min ha'amim asher nafotzu bam, from amongst the nations amongst which we have been dispersed. V'nikdashti bam, God makes God's self to be known holy in the eyes of the nations. Then we will dwell on our land, v'yashvu al admatam, which I have given to my servant Jacob. V'yashvu aleha lavetach, they will dwell on it securely. Uvanu vatim v'natu kramim. Again, this is something which Ezekiel back in, was it Ezekiel? Maybe it was Jeremiah. Hold on, it's actually worth taking a moment to check this. Hold on. See if I can quickly find it. Bear with me a minute. Shucks, I can't remember off the top of my head where it is. Okay, but I think it's Jeremiah, but it might be Ezekiel. I should have checked beforehand, who's is told here in the place where you are in exile, you need to invest in the places where you are, build houses, plant vineyards. That's a message to the peoples in exile. Now we're being told you're going to come back. And that was the way of sort of saying, this is going to last a little while. You might as well get settled. Take your coat off, here in exile. And now we're being told you're going to come back to the land, and now you will, reinfuse, rejuvenate the land and your settlement there by building houses and planting vineyards, via shvula vetach, and dwelling securely when I carry out these, these punishments against the nations around you. And again, v'yadu ki ani Adonai Elohehem. They, again, the children of Israel, but by implication also the nations. And of course, this is a good ending for a chapter or a three chapter unit about prophecies to the nations, because I think it reinforces through this little ambiguity the message that we've seen over and over, I think, in these prophecies, which is that they are, of course, a dual message. They're a message to the other nations, whether that gets delivered or not, and they're a message to the Israelites, that God is the God over all of them ultimately. And that's where this segment concludes. We still have more prophecies of other nations ahead for the next few chapters, but this is the Tzor Sidon, the Tyre Sidon, triad of chapters. Again, I think amongst the most beautiful in its literary, flowery but accessible language. And for me, this mashup, merger, association of the creation story in the Garden of Eden and the tabernacle is just so literarily rich and powerful. Again, in just a few verses, able to draw out through these literary associations, so many core themes and feelings from the Tanach. I find very powerful. Let me take a moment to check my calendar for next week.
It's just so different.
Thursday, May 14th. Looks like a wonderful time to learn Ezekiel, although we may be a bit later than usual. We may be 10:30 because I have some dental work in the morning. I'll check that and confirm. So keep an eye out on your email. If for any reason you're not getting emails about the classes, let me or Shuli know so we can make sure you receive the updates. But I think it'll probably be 10:30 for our class next week. Hope everybody's well, and lots of great upcoming programming. We've got, hopefully we'll have Zoom book club next week on our last book about unhoused youth in Florida and in America. Extremely powerful book. Not too late to order it online and read it before next Thursday. If you're hoping to attend the Zoom book club, please do email Shuli or me to RSVP so make sure we have a good group. Once we have 4 or 5 commitments, we know we'll be able to have it. We had a great discussion in person last night. Lots of upcoming Shavuot programming. So keep your eye on your email. Join us whenever you can. Good Shabbat to all. Love to mom and dad. And good rest of the week to everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. The rest of is Ezekiel going to go back to the way he was, or is he going to remain in this way of?
Good question. I think we will see more of the regular Ezekiel